Today, we're going to tackle one of the questions that I get asked all the time. How do you take barbecue meats that you've invested all kinds of time into making, store them in the refrigerator or the freezer, and reheat them so they taste as good as when they came off the pit? I've tried a bunch of different ways over the years, and I found one way that's the best. And today, I'm going to show you step by step. I'm David Gafford, and this is the Barbecue Lab. Melissa and I believe the backyard is a sacred space where memories are made, stories are shared, and people come together around food and fire. We're here to help you create those moments by testing the best gear, sharing proven recipes, and showing you how to own your backyard. In this video, I'm inviting you to follow along for a process that we do pretty often here at the Barbecue Lab. I'm smoking a brisket and a pork butt that we're not planning on eating right away. This cook is purely to put some easy dinners into the freezer for our family. I'm using the Hasty Bake Roughneck, which is a charcoal smoker, and it's pretty much a set it and forget it smoker. I'm here at the lab, and my goal is to cook this meat during the workday and then take it home to finish the process. I started the grill at 7:30 in the morning, wrapped the meat once the ThermalWorks RFX told me I'd reached 150 degrees internal, and then pulled them off once I hit 200 degrees final internal temperature. I let the meat vent off some steam by opening up the wrap for about 10 minutes, and I boiled some water to pour into my Yeti cooler to warm up the insulation in the sidewalls, since this cooler was stored in our storage barn that was about 50 degrees inside. My plan is to hot hold this meat overnight in the cooler to let it rest. Similar to the process you'll find in the best barbecue restaurants in the country. I have the RFX probes still in each piece of meat, and my app is set to alert me if we fall into the temperature danger zone of lower than 140 degrees internal. When we leave for the day, the cooler goes into the back of the truck, and we'll take it inside the house where this meat will rest for 12 to 14 hours before we open the cooler again. Now, if you see gear that I'm using in this video, I'll leave links down in the description below for all of it. We aren't getting paid to make this video, and if I'm using the gear, it's because I like using it. I'll let you in on the sales I know about this holiday season on some of the items I'm using, but this is a little behind the scenes look into the gear I use all the time, even when the cameras aren't rolling. The next day, the temperature has held steady overnight in the Yeti, and it's time to get the meat out to cool so we can prep it for storage. The first step is opening up the wrap and letting it cool down for about half an hour on the counter. I know I need to get this meat down below 70 degrees in temperature in the first 2 hours once it's entered the danger zone of below 140 degrees. So, first step is getting it fully vented. After 30 minutes, I'm going to get this meat exactly how I want it for storage. The pork is getting pulled. Just the act of pulling the pork is going to let out an incredible amount of heat, which will cool it faster. At this point, you'll need to make a decision. How do you want this when you go to reheat it? Often, I'll mix the meat with sauce, get it seasoned, and completely how I want it when I reheat it. Other times, I don't know how I'm going to use it just yet, and I'll freeze it so I can decide later. For the brisket, I'm slicing it as the main dinner entree. Sometimes I'll chop it to use it in chili or tacos, but this gives future me options however I want to use it. Now, if you're finding this video helpful, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. There's a whole lot more helpful outdoor cooking content coming every week, and we'd love to have you join us. Now that the meat is all prepped, all that's left to do is get it portioned into vacuum seal bags. Our family of 4 eats barbecue a couple of times a week, so some of these bags I'm sizing for dinner. Melissa and I also work together at the Barbecue Lab every day, and some of these bags I'll size for the 2 of us to take to work for easy lunches when we're in the middle of shooting content for the channel. Each bag gets weighed and labeled because I've put enough bags in the freezer that weren't labeled to know how important a label really is. We'll also date our bags so we can identify meat from the same cook if we need more than 1 bag in the future. Just a couple of tips. We've found that it's often easier to write on the bags before vacuum sealing them. Also, the food shouldn't be hot when you seal it. At this point, these bags are barely warm, so we're ready to seal. The star of the show in this process for us is the VAC 100, which is the vacuum sealer that we use many times each week here at the house. It's a chamber vacuum sealer, which means it pulls all of the air out of the entire chamber instead of just the bag itself, like you'd see with, say, a Food Saver brand sealer. Just place the bag in the VAC 100, make sure that the top is aligned in the clips, close the lid, and in about 30 seconds, it's done. There's something that's so satisfying when the vacuum is released and the bag cinches up at the end of each cycle. A chamber sealer takes virtually all of the air out of the bag, so this barbecue is set to last for years in the freezer. But in our house, it gets utilized much quicker than that. Now, Melissa says we can't show you our freezer since it hasn't been organized lately, but you get the idea. I also want to point out that this is also a great way to make meals that you can share with your tribe. We pull from these bags when someone in our community is going through something and could use a meal. We've already done the work, and it's ready when we know of someone who's going through it. Now, as my friends and family will attest, I love a deal more than the average person. If I were in the market for a vacuum sealer, here's the sale I would jump on. JVR, who makes the VAC 100, has a VAC Friday sale that we've been given early access to. Now is the time where you can also get extra chamber pouches for meat, a quart of oil to use for maintenance on your sealer, a cover for the VAC 100, a stainless steel vac canister to use with the accessory hose, and a tumbler to keep your coffee warm. It's well over $1,000 worth of gear for just $7.99, and it's guaranteed delivery by Christmas. This is the sealer that we use the most here at the Barbecue Lab, and if you're in the market for one, this is the best deal of the year, and it's available now. I'm going to cover how to reheat barbecue meats here in just a second, but first let me pass a question off to you. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to saving and reheating barbecue meats? Is it a flavor issue, a packaging issue, or something different entirely? Let me know down in the comments below, and if it's something that we haven't covered, we'll address your comments and questions on our social media channels to help others out who are experiencing the same thing. When it comes to the reheating process, there are a couple of ways, but I do have one favorite. The first way is simple. Just take this bag and put it into a pot of boiling water on the stove. In about 20 or 30 minutes, everything inside will be above the 140-degree mark and ready to eat. Another way is just cut the bag open and dump the contents into a covered skillet and reheat with some broth. Probably not the best way for slices of brisket, but for pulled meats, it works just fine. My favorite way, though, is to use the sous vide. This is an immersion bath that heats water to whatever temperature you set on the digital screen, and it keeps it there for as long as you want it. I will often set my sous vide to run at 170 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll place the frozen bag of meat inside and let it go until I'm ready for dinner. Once the water bath has gotten to that 170-degree target temperature, I'll usually let it go at least a half hour before I call it done. The nice thing is, though, I could let this go for 4 hours and it's still going to be juicy and delicious. That's the beauty of sous vide reheating of vacuum-sealed barbecue meats. You can also get this tub with a lid that has a cutout for the sous vide, which just keeps evaporation down and makes for quicker sous vide-ing. I like this sous vide from Meet Your Maker, and the sous vide and tub are on sale for the best price of the year right now. So check out the link in the description below, where you can get the best price on the internet through our link that takes you to custom pricing just for the viewers of the Barbecue Lab. So, what did I miss or forget to elaborate on? Let me know in the comments section below, and we'll either answer your question down in the comments or on our social media channels with a video response to help others who have the same question. We've filled our freezers with meat using this exact same method that I've outlined in this video, and I hope you can use it as well to feed your tribe. I'm David Gafford. Behind the camera, as always, is Melissa, or I guess not. She must have gone to rearrange the freezer. Thanks for joining us, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.